Happy Wednesday, Anthony Special here with Special Analysis on Edited on the Edge of the Market. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I've had some inquiries, some folks reach out to me and say, Anthony, how much money do I dedicate to trading the market or investing? How do I allocate the right amount of money to balance that risk reward opportunity to take advantage of the market? And to me it kind of goes back to just simple financial discipline. And that's kind of the topic we're going to talk about today. We're going to break down the way I divide every dollar I earn. Now, listen, understanding for me that this is different than everybody else, but I'm just merely sharing with you my approach. I've had great success with it. I've shared it with other folks. They seem to have had great success with it as well. You, of course, do what you please with it, but I kind of wanted to just break it down so you kind of had a thought process here. Listen, you don't want to invest or trade with all your money. You want to just trade with a little piece, and you want to grow that little piece, and then you want to compound that little piece, and you will see that that little piece of your income will then become very, very, very substantial. It takes time. Trading, investing, it is a marathon. It is not a sprint. It is a mere, it is a long term. It is a lifetime of continuous discipline and consistency. And if you do it, and you do it well, you can be wildly successful, live a very, very, very comfortable life. And that's ultimately what we all are after, at least in my opinion. For me, it's about freedom. It's about being able to kind of call my own shots, do things on my own terms, enjoy life the way I want to enjoy life. It's really not so much about the stuff. We don't really buy expensive things, but it's really about just that peace of mind that's saying, hey, listen, we have X amount of years in the bank, that we know our bills are paid. We know that our life is comfortable. We can go to dinner. We can go on trips. We can travel. We can do things. We can buy things and not feel like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to pay the bills tomorrow. And I want to, again, kind of break down how we've kind of accomplished that and how I've helped others do the same. And maybe it's just a thought process to help you stimulate maybe the way that you approach your finances as well. So I'm going to just, we're not really going to jump into charts, but I did kind of build this silly little, I don't know what you want to call it, display, if you would. So basically what you see here is pretty silly, and this is going to sound kind of obnoxious, but essentially what you have in front of you is 4 quarters. 4 quarters represents every single dollar that you earn. How does that dollar inevitably break down? And that is the question. So first and foremost, we have to pay tax on every dollar we earn. And we all have what's called an effective tax rate. And the way that is achieved is our income less our deductions, so on and so forth. Everybody's situation is a little different, whether you're paying rent or you have mortgage and you're paying interest, or you have depreciation on real estate, or whatever whatever the way your tax structure breaks down. That's different for each and every one of us. But I would imagine that at least 25% of our money is going to go back to the government between income tax and sales tax and property tax and all that stuff that we spend on. So it's definitely at least 25%. So we know we need to reserve at least a quarter of every dollar we make that is going to end up back in the government's hand. It is what it is, guys. Welcome to America. This is the way it works. We are all, products of the tax revenue stream. That's what we are. We are tax creators. So the government can misspend our money. But that's here nor there for another conversation. Second quarter, the next 25% of your income, the second quarter of every dollar you earn, should cover your living expenses. Your rent, your mortgage, your food, your car payment, your cell phone bill, your shopping, your shoes, your clothes, your consumables, your laundry detergent, your going out to dinner. All the things that you do and spend money on a daily basis should fall under this category. Listen, you all may realize very quickly that you are living beyond your means if you implement this 4-quarter rule. Living within 25% of your gross income is really could be a little mind blowing for some of you. You're going to realize that maybe you're not reserving enough money for your future. And listen, if you're staring down, the barrel of retirement at some point in time, or you're, attempting to achieve that financial freedom you're looking for, so you can have the quality of life you want, you may have to rethink some of these because the living expenses is really where you're able to make some adjustments. Ideally, you can always live in a smaller house. You can always drive a more simple vehicle. You can carry a simple bag as opposed to a designer bag, or a simple wallet as opposed to a designer wallet. You can wear a simple watch as opposed to a Rolex. So this is where you're going to find that you're able to make the biggest adjustments. Taxes are what they are. You're going to have to pay them no matter what. The living expenses is really where we kind of have the ability to fluctuate a lot. And whatever we do with our living expenses is really what affects the next 2 quarters of our income. So I believe that we should always have 25% of our gross income in cash reserves. And I don't mean in physical cash. I mean in the bank, meaning you have a savings account, you have cash, you have money, you have liquid money that you're able to access at any point in time. Given an opportunity or given an emergency, you have plenty of cash reserves to live on. God forbid we have a pandemic, since we've just kind of lived through that. You don't have to count on the government to finance you. Cash reserves in case you fall ill or have medical bills, or you have a child going to college, or you need a new car, or, things of that nature where you're going to have large purchases. You want to buy a house, you want to buy an investment property, you want to buy another vehicle or a second home, or whatever you want to do with your life, you need to have cash reserves, because you should be building a pile of money, and a pile of money that's there for you to use when you need it, whether it's to survive on or it's to grow with. It should be there. And then the last quarter, I've always allocated for investment. Now, you can invest in a lot of things. You can invest in real estate. You can invest in stocks. You can invest in bonds. You can take the money and actively trade it. That, again, becomes up to you. I personally then break that category down into a couple different categories. I subdivide that quarter. I want some money in my trading account that I want to actively trade it. I want some money that are in long-term investments, whether that be real estate or stocks. I want some money in, maybe assets that I've sold that I'm collecting debt on with interest. So, I've tied up some money in that nature as well. So ideally, I've taken every single dollar I've made, I've divided it by 4, and then inside of those 4 categories, I've been able to then subdivide that money into where it falls. Taxes, we know we have to pay taxes. Our living expenses, that is the quarter of our gross income that we can adjust the most, meaning the quality of our life. If we're willing to tighten our belt a little bit, we can leave more money for the cash reserves for when those big opportunities or big expenses come along. And then, we want to actually have that extra cash in our hands for when we're ready to make some investments, or we're ready to build up a trading account, or we're ready to build up, buy, an asset or something that's going to produce money for us. So, guys, this is the way I've done it. I've been very successful in doing it. Those I've shared it with, again, have been fairly successful with it. Does it take a lot of discipline to take every single dollar you make and divide it by 4? Yes. Yes, it does. Listen, especially if you are affluent and if you earn yourself a good living year over year, to just say, hey, I'm only going to live on 25% is really tough. But I can assure you that if you can do that for a period of time, let's say 10 years, that you could just tighten it up a little bit, the rest of your life can be so much easier, because you've created that extra. In the cash reserves, the extra in the investments that have grown, that you've built that surplus. And once that surplus is there, it's so much easier for that surplus to grow. The toughest part is building the pile. Once you have the pile, it's easier, I should say, to get that pile to grow. So I encourage you to figure out for yourself what works, how you can break down your finances, so that you can start to build your pile, or if you already have a pile, how you can grow your pile exponentially, so that you can create that freedom, you can create that lifestyle, you can create ultimately what it is that you are looking to achieve. I mean, the reason you're interested in investing or trading is simply because you want to make money. Now, the reason has to be greater than the money. It always has to be greater than the money. For me, the reason is freedom. It's about making my own choices. It's about deciding on my own terms what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. That's the reason that I've chosen to trade. That's the reason I've chosen to invest. That's the reason I've chosen to allocate my money into 4 quarters essentially for every single dollar and put those quarters to work accordingly. So that's my spiel for today. I know it was more of a lesson than it was an opportunity in the market, but I felt it was important because I had quite a few inquiries about, Anthony, how much money do I put aside to trade? Again, this is different and unique for each and every one of you. I just want to kind of share with you the way I break down my money. Now, listen, again, is it exact to the quarter? No, it's not. But you want to get somewhere in this neighborhood. And I think if you do this, if you break your money down into 4 quarters, and I know that you've reserved your money for your taxes, you know what you have to live on, you know what you have to put cash in the bank, and you know what you have to invest with, I think you could be wildly successful. So with that, I wish you a beautiful and blessed day. I look forward to speaking with you again tomorrow, and I hope you enjoyed this little lesson.